Welcome students to the next class on social control. The present lesson is on different agencies of social control. Society makes use of social control by creating its own agencies like law, education, folkways, mores, customs, connections, traditions, religion, etc. These variety of devices or agencies are employed on the basis of the complexity of society. Let us briefly discuss the role of some agencies of social control. First, I will explain to you law as a form of social control. The most powerful formal means of social control in any complex society is law. It appears only in societies where a political organization is strong and a good system of law has evolved. According to J.S. Rosek, all social rules including political and legislative originated first in the traditional customs and folkways. Laws are based upon existing conceptions of justice and right in a given community. Laws are made and legislations are enacted on the basis of social doctrines, ideals and mores. Law requires enforcing agencies, namely the police, the court and the armed forces. Administrative machinery of the state is found to be the main law enforcing agency. Law as an instrument of social control performs two functions. The functions are to eliminate and suppress the homicidal activities of individuals and to persuade individuals to pay attention to the rights of others as well as to act in cooperation with others. By this way, law tries to protect the individuals and society and promotes social welfare. The main features of law are explained like this. 1. Law is prescribed by the state. 2. Law has an authority to enact. 3. Law is definite and written. 4. Law applies equally to all. 5. Violation of law is followed by punishments. Legislations on economic activities and trade help social progress by bringing uniformity in action. There is another example, the social discrimination that prevailed in India with respect to caste are removed now to a greater extent and clashes and suppressions are controlled by the government because of the enforcement of certain laws. The second type of control is by education. Education may be defined as a process by which the social heritage of a group is passed from one generation to another. Education is a continuous effort to impose on the child the ways of seeing, feeling and acting which he could not have arrived at spontaneously on his own. Education is found to be a major contributor in regulating the behavior and conduct in the early socialization of the child. Education provides intellectual base for everything. Education teaches the individual rational way of thinking. Education helps individuals develop good values of life and moral aspects to be followed. It is only through education the individual broadens his views on whole community and its welfare. Hence, education is a form of social control as well as self control. Other than law and education, there are few more types of social control which are enforced in an informal way. One such control is by public opinion. Public opinion is an important agency of social control. Public opinion refers to the collective opinion of majority of members of a group. Through public opinion, the knowledge about the needs, ideas, beliefs and values of people can be ascertained. It influences the social behavior of the individuals. According to Young, public opinion consists of the opinion held by a public on a certain issue at a certain time. Individuals get recognition when they behave according to the accepted social expectations. Through public opinion, we know what type of behavior is accepted socially and what not. There are various agencies functioning for the formulation and expression of public opinion. The press, radio, movies and legislature are found to be the main controlling agencies of public opinion. At the same time, they provide information to the public to form opinion. The next type of informal control is by propaganda. According to Akolkar, propaganda is an organized or systematic attempt made by a person or a group to influence public opinion and attitudes in any sphere. Propaganda can affect people's faith, ideology, attitude and behavior. Often it is found to be used for replacing old beliefs and practices with the new ones. Propaganda may create positive or negative opinion on a person or an issue. Governments use media to propagate their programs and plans to reach people. For example, propaganda on family welfare, health and vaccination are made by the government to achieve good health. Propaganda plays a vital role in both democratic and dictatorial governments. Propaganda needs to be repeated systematically to get a good effect. In propaganda also, like public opinion, all media like television, press, radio play a major role. The next one is control by coercion. Coercion refers to the use of physical force to stop or control a work or an action. It is an extreme form of violence. Hence, state is the only association to use coercion as a mechanism in controlling the behavior of individuals. It becomes necessary for the state to resort to coercive methods to suppress antisocial activities. Otherwise, there would be no security for social life. It is necessary to keep within limits the self-interest, the greed, the intolerance of people in their social life. Similarly, it is necessary to protect the interests of the weaker groups, minorities, slaves and poor from the suppression of the dominant groups. Safeguarding the political and social order is the main service of force. Whenever the common rule is considered to be beneficial to people, it is necessary to use force on the unlawful groups. In societies, many deviant behaviors like robbery, murder, drug and many more are reported. Such deviants have to be brought under law through coercive means only. Other than all these forms, we could observe few more types of social control acting on people in a very subtle manner. One such type of control is by the customs of the society. According to Kingsley Davis, customs refer to practices that have often been repeated by multitude of generations, practices that tend to be followed simply because of the reason that they have been followed in the past. Customs are unconsciously followed by people and have got informal recognition. Due to these qualities of being adopted over generations, spontaneity and good recognition, customs are effective means of informal social control. Daily activities of an individual are regulated by customs. Our ways of dressing, speaking, eating, working, worshipping and celebrating festivals are controlled by customs. They are found to be self-accepted rules of social life. For example, what and how to perform certain rituals in a festival or how to behave in family functions in front of elders or the mode of conducting a wedding are customary. People do not deviate from these practices. Hence, customs are good forms of social control. The next type of control is by folkways and mores, which are almost similar to the customs. According to Lundberg, folkways are the habitual beliefs, attitudes and styles of conduct observed within a group. Folkways are enforced in an informal way. The members of a society learn them during socialization. Since people have already internalized these ways, normally they adopt them spontaneously. Folkways refer to the ways of the people. Folkways are the norms to which people conform because it is expected from them. Folkways are not as compulsive and obligatory as laws or morals. Those who violate folkways are not punished by formal agencies, but the violators are put to gossip, slander and ridicule. Some examples of folkways are the ways of dressing, showing respect to elders in a particular fashion, and husband and wife relationships. For McKeever and Page, mores are standards of right and wrong. Mores provide moral behaviors to people. For example, mores like leaving shoes outside the temple, saying vanakkam to visitors in Tamil Nadu, saying namaste in the northern part of India in a particular fashion, or shaking hands in the western countries, or slightly bending the body in Japanese culture, are the regulating factors of behavior. Mores represent another category of norms. When folkways act as regulation of behavior, then they become mores. Mores are considered to be essential for group welfare. The positive mores prescribe behavior patterns, while the negative mores taboo behavior. Mores prescribe or prohibit behavior patterns. Mores help the individuals to realize that community living or collective life is possible only when one conforms to the norms. Another type of social control is through religion and morality. In modern societies, religion and morality are found to be the most effective means of informal social control. Religion refers to man's faith or belief in some supernatural power or force. As McKeever and Page have said, religion implies a relationship not merely between man and man, but also between man and some higher power. It regulates the activities of the people in its own ways through religious codes. The concepts like spirit, ghost, taboos, soul, divine commandments, etc., control human action and enforce discipline. Ideas of hell and heaven too have great effect on the behavior of people. Man as a religious being tries to adjust or restrain his behavior to secure the blessings of God. Religion strongly supports the moral, spiritual and social values and conserves the values of the society. The control exercised by religion is unique. In some societies, the punishments are overt, but the feeling of guilt and subjective fear exercise control over the individuals in all societies. The institution of morality is closely related to religion. Morality is concerned with the conceptions of goodness and evil, honesty, faithfulness, fairness, service mindedness, truthfulness, kindness and sacrifice represent some of the moral concepts. It could be assumed that people who are morally good are also socially good. Morality always helps us differentiate between right and wrong or good and bad. Therefore, morality often acts as a guide for human behavior. Moral rules are obeyed because of internal pressure of consciousness, but in case of religion, man obeys religious rules because of fear towards God. Religion and morality are found to be mutually complementary and supportive in regulating the behavior of the individuals. The next type of social control is by sanctions. Sanctions refer to the rewards or punishments used to establish social control. It is used to persuade an individual or group to conform to social expectations. It may be applied in various ways, ranging from the use of physical force to symbolic means. The type of sanctions may be positive or negative. Positive sanctions include verbal methods like praise, flattery, suggestions, persuasions, slogans, propaganda and rewards. Negative sanctions represent gossip, laughing at others, threat, commands, censorship and overt actions like this. By overt actions, we mean some kind of imprisonment or torture or even putting a person to death. Other than these types of social control, which is included under a formal means of social control and informal means of social control, there are few more types. Sometimes society tries to control the behavior of its members through fashions too. First, I will explain how fashion controls the behavior of an individual. But this type of control is not very directly controlling the behavior, but it gives direction to the person how to behave in a particular fashion. The role of fashion on social life is quite different. Fashions may be defined as permitted range of variation. That is what I said, in a particular fashion. I repeat, fashions may be defined as permitted range of variation around a norm. It is a device beautifully suited to reconcile the opposing tendencies. It permits and regulates variety and thereby avoids a dull and deadening uniformity in the society. Fashion helps us to express our individuality without going against norms. Uniformity and dullness may destroy human creativity and happiness. Under such conditions, fashions serve as outlet. The next type is through rites, rituals and ceremonies. Rites, rituals and ceremonies add color and festivity to various events of social life. Ceremonies regularize and standardize situations which people confront, for which they may not find a guide for action otherwise. For example, marriage ceremony, unless the ceremonies are prescribed already, one may not be able to conduct the ceremony of marriage. It is all explained throughout generations and also handed over to the next generation. Rites also refer to the ceremony. It sometimes convey a sense of secrecy. The ceremonies are known only to the initiated person. Rites are performed by limited number of people who have experience in it, while others have to observe and appreciate it. Rituals are also ceremonies, but it is characterized by repetition. They are called rituals because they are performed repeatedly and periodically. For example, the celebration of Republic Day, celebration of wedding anniversary or May Day. All these functions are performed in a specific manner year by year. The next one is etiquette. Social etiquette is a code of precise procedures that govern the social interaction of people. For instance, social etiquettes regulate man in social events like death or housewarming or any other such ceremonies. Yes, students, I am sure now you understand how our behavior is controlled directly or indirectly in our social life. Now, I will sum up. In the beginning, I was explaining to you how law acts as a form of social control. Then I proceeded to explain education, public opinion, propaganda, coercion, customs, folkways and mores, religion and morality as different forms of social control. Then in the last part, I also explained to you fashion as a form of social control, then ceremonies, rites, rituals and social etiquette in controlling social behavior. Now, I will put certain questions to you. Question number 1, explain school as a form of social control. 2, how do propaganda and public opinion control human behavior? 3, do customs still bind human behavior? Explain. With this, we complete the lesson on social control. In the next class, we will meet to discuss about various other concepts of sociology. Till then, bye.